Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and let's talk about Overwatch, because the last video I made, it was beautiful. Some of the comments you guys were leaving, they were amazing. Like some of the best stuff I've seen on Overwatch videos I've made. It's really interesting to see what you guys think when you've not had access to the game, or just people who have been playing the game. It's just nice to get other opinions in. I think it's good to start up discussions, and I enjoy that. So let's do it again. Now I've got a question today. And I think it's a simple question, but it's not really that simple once I get into it. So do you think Overwatch closed beta players will have an advantage over people who, well, have not played the game? Now, it's a stupid question, because the answer is obviously yes, they will. And why is that? Well, I mean, look at me. I've played the game since October last year. I know the maps. I know the heroes. I will absolutely wreck somebody who has never played the game before. There'll be no competition. They'll just die. So this goes into a deeper debate now, because people are worried. They are really worried if there's going to be this massive skill discrepancy between people like me and new players, and is that going to ruin the new players' experience? No, it's not. The reason why I don't think it's going to ruin the new players' experience is because the number of players in the closed beta is nothing. It is maybe a few thousand at best. Compared to what will happen when the open beta drops, there will be a massive influx of players. You know what, actually? I've got evidence that supports this theory. I mean, hell, the game Overwatch, gee, it's massively popular, right? Even at this point, it's not even launched. Everybody's looking forward to it, or at least everybody I know. So it's going to be, everybody's going to jump onto it. But as I say, I do have some kind of anecdotal evidence, because the stress test weekend that we actually, the one that we did a couple of weeks ago, I was getting matched with a lot of different people. People I've not really played against. Yeah, I did get matched with people I have played against before. Maybe that's down to the internal MMR, and I'm similar, in skill level to people who've played the closed beta for a long time. But the fact is, there was a lot of fresh blood there. And that was only a limited kind of expansion of the closed beta. The stress test was just to test some things with how Blizzard servers handle the load. So when the open beta hits, well, everybody has access. And then when the game launches, everybody, has access if they bought the game. I really don't think there's going to be a problem. What will happen is, the guys who are like me and have got a lot of experience probably will shoot up the internal hidden MMR, get to rank 25, start playing ranked. Once we're in the ranked matchmaking, possibly go up pretty quick to that, but soon we'll settle at a level with players of equal skill. And that's what will happen. Everybody in Overwatch, regardless of your skill level, you will settle in a barrier, a boundary, a margin, a league, whatever you want to call it, where everybody is your skill level, and you will always get a good game. You will not be playing against people who are insanely powerful, who are top tier players, who are just going to wreck you because that's just what's going to happen. I don't think that will happen. I really don't. I'll be very surprised. But here's the other thing about this, and this is an absolutely legitimate point people have made. If you want to be in an esports team, if you want to be competitive when it comes to Overwatch, well, you've got a lot of catching up to do. Because Overwatch isn't like Counter-Strike. It isn't like any other FPS. I guess Counter-Strike, or CSGO, is probably the best comparison right now for esports. That is a game where you need to be an extremely good FPS player. But we're talking extremely good reaction times. Because a lot of the time, it comes down to a couple of shots and you're dead. I mean, hell, you got the AWP, it's one shot, they're dead most of the time. So it's a very fast-paced, unforgiving experience. And it's almost, I know it's a team game and there are tactics that are involved, but it almost relies a bit more on your ability as an individual player. Now, Overwatch is a bit different. It does rely on your ability as an individual player, but it's a very, very team-focused game. You can make mistakes in Overwatch and recover from them. How you work in, how your synergy is with another character, another player, or even the other 4, 5 players on your team. Well, it'd be 5, wouldn't it? It's 6 aside, you idiot. How you interlock with each other and play with each other is going to come from experience. You cannot get that level of understanding through just turning up and playing the game in a few weeks. That is something that these teams that are currently active in the fledgling Overwatch esports scene will have the advantage, because they have played together. It's like traditional sports. I've played a hell of a lot of football when I was younger. I mean, I used to play for, if anybody knows these teams, I used to play for Port Vale, Walsall and West Brom. And I know what it's like to forge relationships. You get players in certain positions, they just click and they work. But then they need the experience to build upon that and become better as players. And it's more of a team-focused thing. That is exactly what Overwatch is. So I think there are a couple of different ways of looking at this argument. The first one is, for a standard normal player jumping into Overwatch on the open beta or when the game launches, do not be frightened of somebody like me, because it's I think it'll be almost impossible that you will come across somebody like me unless it's random, because everybody's stats are going to be reset to 0. So you might end up with me, oh dear, somebody's really good, they've played the game for ages, but you're not going to see them that often, because they should advance rapidly through the internal MMR, which is the matchmaking rank, and you won't see them again until you catch up with them, so the game will be fine from that point of view. The next thing you've got is when esports teams are looking to get together and form a team. I think there is a problem there. Those who have got in early are going to have an advantage. I'm not going to say they're always going to be the best, and I'm not going to say there isn't a window for new teams to pop up, because they will. They absolutely will pop up and start doing work and moving forward. But I just think that is where the main problem is with the Overwatch open beta when it comes to the more competitive nature, the disparity in, or the discrepancy even, in skill levels. So I'm going to end this video on this, guys. Do you agree with me? I do honestly believe that there is no problem. Yeah, people like me have played the game for hundreds of hours and all of that crap. That's fine. You'll probably very rarely come across us, because we'll start getting to we'll probably end up playing with each other anyway. The guys who've played in the closed beta, because we'll probably rapidly advance, and we should do. But that's not to say people who are just inherently good at FPS games and can pick stuff up really quick won't advance as well, because they will. Overwatch is not a complicated game to understand the basics of, but when you want to get into the more in-depth thing of the point of view of Overwatch, where how does this hero work with this, what should I be doing right now, and all of that, then that's when it becomes a bit different. And I think that does rely on experience. So experience is a factor, but I think it's not going to be that much of an issue for just normal players. More of a, if you want to put together a competitive team. I mean, you don't even have to include esports. Just think of a 6-man ranked team. Now, if you played together a lot, if you played in the open beta, the closed beta, sorry, and then you start playing at launch, well, you're probably going to have an advantage over most other 6-man teams, because you know how to work together, So there will be little bits of advantage like that going around, but you have to remember the size of the closed beta compared to the open beta, and when the game goes live, it's not even going to be 1% of the population. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa. This is Unit Lost. If you like my Overwatch stuff, then do like the video. Tell your granny, because I'm sure she'd like to watch it as well. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming. And I'll catch you next time, people. Toodaloo.